Welcome back, everybody. Hope you learned something about lock boxes. Good business tip.
Yes, lock boxes. You know, it's one of the things that's interesting about that. What an introduction. Now you know everything you need to know about lock boxes or installing a contractor's lock box anyways. One of the things as we went through, as I continued to dive into the systems and having a new role at CIR2 about operations, is I've been in an absolutely pure systems mentality lately about systematizing everything. And so you guys are going to see a lot more stuff come out about cool tools to systematize as I dive further and further in, and we continue to streamline our operations as a company, but have it where we look at how you guys can streamline your operations and do much more with less. So it's outstanding.
I noticed we have no Audible credits left because we have 3 new books on systems.
It is true.
So exciting.
It is true.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about promoting a coming soon listing. We recently had Jeremy Campbell and Chris Benham on a little bit, who spoke about some of the benefits of doing this and how it's benefited their home sale. So we'll dive into that a little bit more today. A lot of realtors do not do too much with their listing until it hits MLS.
Yep.
But the point of our talk today is to look at, I guess, basically why it's amazing if you do that. And even from our own standpoint, if you don't have to have 100 people walking through your house, that is insane.
Yeah. So
if you can manage that.
This topic has been something that's really near and dear to my heart, just from the standpoint that I used to always have a listing coming up and I would be promoting it in the office. I would be talking about it well in advance in order to get traffic to come in for all the reasons we're about to talk about here. But when it came time for Kirsten and I to move, and we bought a house in Maple Ridge, and we had to sell our home, one of the things is we were going through the prep process, which takes some time. I mean, to get a stager in, to get photography in, everything else. I started calling everybody that worked in the neighborhood as realtors, did a bunch of other things like that. But then we ended up connecting with some managers, and somebody on our CIR Facebook page ended up saying that they're looking for a client in that area, and we let them in advance, and they ended up buying it. So shout out to Tyler Remington, who did a fantastic job. But one of the things too is that it just became a great opportunity for us to get the price that we wanted. We already determined that, and it created some buzz for the property, which was good before it went on the listing, went on the marketplace. So.
Well, and we're talking about coming soon listings, but just quickly and mention to Tyler, like, good thing to talk about your coming soon buyers too.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tyler was able to get his clients in a listing that wasn't even the marketplace. So he looks like a champion because he was able to discover a property that's like that, sort of that secret, as we're going to talk about here. So
well, and why don't you talk about that a little bit about? We're going to talk a bit about scarcity and being the first to know. So to your point on that. Okay.
Yeah. One of the biggest, as I flip to the correct page of my notes here. One of the biggest thing when you have a listing that's coming soon, it's sort of that like, psst, there's this listing that we've heard about that's coming up in the marketplace, and people like to be the first to know. And anytime you have a product or something that someone is the first to know, they're way more responsive. If you're like, okay, so I got this listing, it's listed on MLS, they're like, yeah, I'll take a look. Like, been on there, I'll look on a realtor.ca, what's the MLS number? But it's like, actually, you can't get the information for it anywhere. So, if you want, let me grab your information, and utilizing scarcity, the fact that they can't get it anywhere and there's sort of this limited opportunity, you're way more likely to get potential callers information, and it becomes much more attractive and compelling to people. And now your client, so principle of coming soon, imagine this scenario here where you learn about somebody who is thinking about selling their house or wants to sell their house, they've committed to it, you've already recommended they get their RPR, first step, even before they list, get your RPR, you know you're gonna sell, you're gonna need it. And then what you do is you can go over, get the paperwork done, and one of the things that you do with the paperwork is you write up the listing agreement as it is today. You write the date, the commencement date, it starts right this second, but you might have the MLS date in the additional terms. You say this property will be posted on the MLS system, the CREB MLS system, on 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
So July 1 or whatever 2 weeks from today is. So you go through and you put that information in the additional terms. So you've agreed in the contract, the listing starts today, so if it sells, you're still covered, but it's going to post on the MLS on the agreed upon date because it's, you've agreed in the contract that that's one of the duties you'll provide or the services you'll provide. Now your clients can choose to show the property or not during this period. If they choose to show it, make sure it's already staged. Treat it as if it's going to go on the market in 3 days. Get your marketing together. It gives you lots of time to do that. You can get out some additional information, but stage the property, make sure it's ready, and then you can go out there and do the promotion of it. So the other thing too is that if you decide to show it, maybe to a select group of people, or you just kind of make an exception to someone, listen, we've had a bunch of requests, but if you want to get in and take a look, if you're available on Thursday, we can get you in. And they're like, yeah, and they're whispering to their clients, and it creates this buying atmosphere too. And if you accept a offer during that coming soon period, and you just let the clients know, hey, listen, we're gonna go on MLS because we got a bunch of people already pre-interested in this, so you're gonna need to pay a
You're
price
not getting $15,000 off the price that we've posted.
Or whatever. I mean,
whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. You can have it where you're in such a strong negotiating position because of all the other opportunity that's out there. And it's true, because you could go to the open marketplace, and the key is your clients have already settled on a price. I have some people that say, well, Lindsey, wouldn't you get more money if you went to the open marketplace and put it out there? And it's like, well, if you already have done your CMA, you already know what you're going to list it at. The rest is just a formality. So if you get pretty dang close to your price or your price for that property, you're going to sell it. So whether you sell it to somebody else who is more, is going to be easier negotiation because you're in a stronger position, or whether you sell it to on the open marketplace and let it sit for 60 days and have to clean your house every single morning and prepare your house for showings.
Well, there's the cost of that too. Like to your point, I mean, are you going to wait an extra, put your clients through potentially, and it's their choice, but 4, 5, 6 weeks of, I can't leave a coffee cup in my sink today. Like, we might have to board our dog. Like, our kids have to play in the basement. Like, whatever it looks at, when you're that close to knowing exactly what you should get anyways, like, there's a cost to that. And to avoid that is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that we did do is you're still getting your photography done. You're still preparing the listing because it may not sell. You might not even choose to show it. You might just collect a whole list of names of people, and then you're ready to launch it. But the only way that you can promote a coming soon listing is if people know about it. So let's chat a little bit about how to promote this.
Sure. Let's first one up, neighbor open house. So do some door knocking, and just everybody in the community say, hey, we have this listing coming up. We want to give you guys the first opportunity to come in, take a look at it, do a little wine and cheese. And one of the things I like about that too is if somebody's close with their neighbors and they're moving, it's almost nice to be like, hey guys, we're moving, come over, have a glass of wine, see if, pick your own neighbors potentially if you see anybody that really likes the house. I think that you guys get a lot of people in that way, and then people in the community know as well, and they're helping share your story a little bit.
Yeah, and especially if they know that this isn't on the market yet. You're the first to see it's that sneak peek again.
Yeah.
Another one, I'm going to switch my points here. Signage, in terms of putting signage on the front lawn. Now you can have a sign ordered without having, like you still have your listing agreement, so you submit your listing to CIR, you fill out the information. It doesn't have to be on MLS in order to have signage. A lot of people say, but Lindsey, don't you have to show it within 24 hours of having it listed? Yes, as soon as you have it listed on MLS, you have to show within 24 hours. But once you have it previous to that, and you're not listed on MLS for 2 weeks after you list it, it's up to your sellers. It's your seller's choice whether or not they want to show the property.
Right.
So you could just collect names during that period. You could show them, but there's no rules around it in terms of when you have to do it. It's all based off your seller's instructions. So signage is another thing that you can do. I don't like the concept of having a full-blown for sale sign out right away. Some people do. One of the things you can do is if you do that, if you have the full-blown for sale sign, and then you have this rider at the top that says listings here, but this would just say coming soon. Another thing you can do is go to a sign company. Who do we use? Studio 4 Signs.
Studio 4 Signs.
They can custom make, and you're going to pay a little bit more, but you get a custom made saying coming soon, call for information, or visit this website for information. And they can do up stickers for you or anything else, but you have an A-frame sign that then goes in the property, because other people that are looking in that community are going to be driving around, they see this sign and they're like, coming soon, what do you mean? We'll be listing, you can even put the listing date, like we'll be listed on whatever, and if you want to do the custom, but get that signage out there so people start saying, what is this, coming soon? I like to make it look a lot different. Otherwise you just see a for sale sign, people think, it's just another listing. But if you do something a little bit different,
well,
and
then the specialness is gone. Like don't do that. That takes away from it.
Even if you got like a coming soon flag or something, I mean, there's a lot of creative things here you can do to draw some attention, saying, hey, this is not on the market yet. Call for information.
Totally, love it. Another thing you guys can do is do a AdWord campaign using something like Google or a Facebook ad to draw some attention to a listing that you have coming soon. Obviously, the question might be, well, what am I going to link it to? Because you don't actually have an MLS number, so you can't drive traffic to the listing. But if you guys have a website or a blog or anything that you guys can do to put some information on, even if you haven't done your professional photography yet, you could just take a photo of the outside of the house and then just add a blog post of sorts, put some information on it, and then you can drive traffic directly to that page to get some information. So I like that idea too.
Yeah.
And Facebook is a really good one too. One of the things that's kind of cool about Facebook is you can target realtors, which is wonderful. So even if you just want to say, I want a really small budget, but I want to get in front of a lot of realtors, the way that you can segment when you're picking your ad demographics is unbelievable. So you could potentially pay a little bit less than you would on Google to make sure that you're putting it in front of the people who have access to everybody that you want it to be looked at, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I said is, I called a bunch of the people who I knew take a lot of listings in the area or work in Cochrane.
Yeah.
And it worked out really well because you just said, hey, I know you do a lot of work. Just want to let you know, I got this property coming up. It's not going to come on the market for 2 weeks, but I thought should be the first to know.
Yeah.
And they might return the favor one day too, where suddenly you become this person that has these pocket listings.
Yeah.
In addition to Kirsten's comment about you can do Facebook advertising, you could also just do it for free too on your page, your personal page, where once a week, whatever it is, you promote saying we're having a sneak peek open house. This will not be on the market, not on the market till this. Be the first to see or the first to get information. Again, link it back to your website with like a landing page on it, whatever you want to do. Or the other thing is post it up in the CIR agents page. Why not have a lineup of people waiting to see it, or you let them in, one off or whatever you want to do, however you want to sell it or hold back, but promote it on the CIR agents page so that they can get in touch with their clients too and say, hey, this is coming up, and just create that buzz, create that energy around a listing.
Tiny disclaimer,
asterisk.
One of the things, and you guys do what you want. We don't manage our agent Facebook page. Like it's yours to do with what you want, but from general feedback, we wouldn't want that to be a place where every single time an agent has a listing, you're posting it there. Obviously, just because then there would be no room for commentary and people get a lot of listings. But for something like that, that's huge.
Yeah.
And people have a lot of success when they do it like that. Because if somebody's interested in a home in Tuscany, it's very easy for them when they're pulling their properties, like the home will be in that list, right? But if something isn't in that list yet and people might be looking and missing out on something coming soon, the Facebook page would be perfect for it.
Yeah. If you guys already have a listing that's on MLS and you're trying to promote it, unless there's something interesting about it,
Totally.
let's try not to spam people.
Yeah.
But in terms of, this is interesting because it has not on the market yet.
Yes.
And then if you're doing it to your public, just say, PM me, private message me for more details.
Something I like about what we're talking about, I don't know if there's lots of communities, and Steve Phillips is great at this. He really tracks like which communities have listings coming up all the time, and then communities that don't have listings coming up all the time. And even when we recently moved, we were looking at some communities that are smaller that don't have stuff coming up all the time. So if you're looking at something like a Tuscany where it's just every day there's stuff, something like this might not be as attractive. But when you're working in some of those other communities where people are literally waiting for a house to come on, like I can't imagine the traffic that you could build doing something like this.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's wrap that up. Hopefully you guys got a bit of information on that. We will be right back talking about our upcoming family picnic.